budget insurance. Affordable because you can't afford not to.
Hello and welcome to the incredible Atlantis Dunes outside of Cape Town. I am in the brand new GWM P series and I'm going to try and not crash while driving around the dunes and talking to you about this brand new bakkie from China. And today we decided, well, why don't we try get hold of a more established rival from a more established brand and put them head to head. And quite conveniently, there is a new Ford Ranger out. Well, it's just a special edition. And it is almost exactly the same price as this P series. But that is pretty much where the similarities end. So I am in the very top of the range P series. There are 16 to choose from, a couple of commercial versions and passenger versions. This is the most expensive P series, and to put it in context, at 544,000 Rand, this car is about 300,000 Rand cheaper than the new top spec Toyota Hilux. So why is it 300,000 Rand cheaper? I think that's what we have to ask ourselves. And at first glance, it's quite difficult to tell where they've saved the money, because this is one of the best bakkie interiors I've ever seen. GWM have just absolutely thrown everything in here that you can possibly want to have a comfortable daily bakkie experience. So when I came to a stop street yesterday and you put your indicator on, you get this incredible camera view, one down the side of the car, which shows you your curb, so you don't sort of curb the wheels as you turn, and one is like a full 360 view of the area around you. It's actually really quite special, and it's so high definition, probably one of the better camera systems I've come across on a car, actually. Let me take you through the mechanicals here. So 2-litre turbo diesel, 120 kilowatts, 400 Newton meters. A little bit more power and torque than we have in the Ranger today from the slightly larger 2.2 in the Ranger. That's 118 and 385. Although the numbers are close, in the real world the GWM's engine feels quite a lot more powerful and more responsive than the Ranger's. And the P series becomes only the second bakkie on the market to offer an 8-speed ZF transmission, which shifts unobtrusively and has been mapped impressively well to make the most of the engine's torque delivery and characteristics. And I suppose the question that I can't answer for you today is, what is the longevity like of this GWM? How long is it going to last? How long is it going to stay together? What's the reliability like? Are you going to have any major issues with any major parts when it comes out of warranty? What's that going to be like? But I think it's safe to say that other bakkies also have that sort of issue, you know, coming out of warranty and having some issues with them. I don't think that's an issue that's exclusive to the GWM. But I think what this car has got going for it is that bakkies are increasingly becoming a status symbol, and this bakkie ticks a lot of boxes. It looks really good from the outside, especially in this top spec with the LED headlights and the LED tail lights. It looks really, really good. It's a big, imposing vehicle, and it can easily stand shoulder to shoulder with the established bakkies on the market. It's maybe not as attractive as a Ranger. I think a Ranger's got that whole sporty vibe going for it. This doesn't make me think that it's sporty, and it's maybe not as iconic as a Toyota Hilux. It is brand new, obviously, and I don't quite like that huge, I don't know, Q thing on the bonnet. I don't think that works very well. I quite like the GWM logo that they've got here on the wheel. I think they should have stuck with that. Right, welcome to the inside of the Ranger that we have here today. It's called the XL Sport. It is the 4x4 Auto Edition. It's the most expensive XL Sport that you can get. You get nice big 17-inch alloy wheels, which are painted black. You get your chrome grille glossed out in black. You get a rollover hoop in black and a different rear bumper. And all of that combines to make this XL Sport look pretty badass. Also comes on some really nice knobbly tires, which are fantastic for out here in the sand, and I'm sure will be good in mud and that sort of thing too. Whereas the GWM comes on very road biased tires. And even though the GWM does have low range, we're picking up that it has a fairly tricky sort of 2 high and 4 auto system where the 4-wheel drive engages on demand, whereas that's not how the Ranger works. And I think this system is a bit more effective. I think GWM have tried to be quite fancy with their 4-wheel drive system, whereas I think actually old school is a bit better in this case. Having jumped out of the GWM and straight into this, I have to tell you that this immediately feels like a better made product in terms of the body and the chassis. It just feels like a more solid vehicle. It's as simple as that, really. Also, the way that the suspension is dealing with these very rutted sand dunes. You know, in the GWM, we were all bouncing around up and down in here, and in this, it's like it just almost smooths over them. It's like we're sort of hovering over the surface or something like that. It's just better damped, better suspension setup, that's for sure. It's a lot quieter in here as well. You can pick that up. The engine note is a bit more subdued in here. It feels like they've spent a bit more time and energy subduing that grumbly diesel engine under the bonnet. So the interior of the Ranger. This is the key difference, the most notable difference between these two vehicles. And immediately you realize that you are drowning in a sea of plastic. Plastic, 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 plastic steering wheel, plastic dashboard, plastic over here, plastic over here, plastic over there, plastic over there. Just a lot of plastic. But we have to remember that this is essentially a bottom spec Ranger. It is just the XL. You still get the XLT and the Wild Track on top of that. This is the basic infotainment system. For another 6,000 Rand, you can upgrade this to the larger screen, which then also has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and satellite navigation. As standard, you don't get any of that. So it could be a good idea to upgrade. You do have aircon, but it's not automatic. You have to go through the hardship of adjusting the aircon fan yourself. Very difficult, very tough that. Cloth seats, also a big difference between this and the GWM. No cruise control, no radar guided, nothing, no lane keep assist. That's, yeah, you're not getting that in the Ranger. In terms of safety, 2 airbags in here. And when we jump into the GWM, I'll tell you how many airbags you get in there. Okay, so how much time do you have? Because I need to take you over the interior of this GWM, and it's going to take about 15 minutes. I don't know if you want to just block book some time into your day here. Well, let me try to summarize, and we'll divide it into 2 parts. One will be looks, and secondly, it will be tech. So as you've probably noticed, there is leather absolutely everywhere. They've gone super fancy with quilted leather on the doors, stitched leather up on the dash, stitched leather steering wheel. It is quite a lovely interior. It really is. Everything feels pretty good and pretty damn solid. And then when it comes to tech, there's some niceties like a wireless charging pad down here, 2 USB ports over there, quite a clever USB port up here for your dash cam or a separate GPS, but you don't need that because it's got it built in. Also Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and there's just tons of little niceties to make you more comfortable. Top tip, if you buy one of these, the seat heater is buried in the freaking infotainment system. And interestingly, your seat heater has gears. You can put it in 2nd gear, 3rd gear seat heater. Very nice. very fancy. But when you're out on the road, that's where the GWM really shines. So you've got radar guided cruise control, which works at any speed. That's very impressive. And then as I experienced yesterday driving this car all over Cape Town, the lane keep assist works really well as well. It keeps the car absolutely bang in the center of the lane, turns corners for you as well. It's a little bit spooky when you start off experiencing it, but you get used to it and then you just sort of keep one hand on the wheel for safety, obviously. And the car pretty much drives itself. And what I was really impressed by was the way the car dealt with crosswinds. So as soon as a crosswind hit me, which is a very common occurrence in Cape Town, the car steered into the crosswind and kept the vehicle in the center of the lane. I was pretty damn impressed with that. But overall, this has got to be one of the most luxurious bakkie interiors that I've ever come across. And the GWM's interior sorts out one of my main gripes with bakkies, that there is no safe storage space in the cabin. The rear seats are floating, which allows you to easily slide a laptop or a backpack or a handbag underneath. Problem solved. And I think it's important to mention that everything you're looking at here is standard. It's all included in the purchase price. So there's keyless entry, start, stop button. There's some really clever touches as well, ergonomically. Great word, ergonomically. Look at this little tray. You slide that back and it reveals the drinks holders, which are at different depths. That's very smart. And you've got a huge center bin in here as well. Over here you can choose your driving modes. There's eco, standard, and one with a car, which looks important. You can even choose your steering sensitivity. So you can make it very light or very not light. And one of the big differentiators between this and the Ranger is the level of safety. You only get 2 airbags in the Ranger. In here, you get 7. I think the only thing missing is that it doesn't have dual zone climate control. It's got automatic climate control, but not dual zone. So you can now have an argument with your partner. So let me start by explaining the name P Series. This is the only country in the world, as far as I'm aware, where this GWM, bumpy, is known as the P Series. In every other country in the world, it is known as the POER, which GWM says is pronounced POER, but it's a bit of a problem in South Africa because POER, we would pronounce it POER. And that is not a particularly attractive name for a bakkie. Although, could have been a marketing opportunity, you know, my poor sal jou moer. Yeah, I think GWM missed a trick there, you know. Could have built a whole marketing campaign around that, in my opinion. Should have called me, guys. Could have consulted. Allow me to take you through the load beds of both bakkies. Now, the Ranger is pretty standard. You know, the door is pretty heavy, drops down as you would expect it to. And off camera, we measured the 2 load beds and there's basically about 1 centimeter between them. The GWM's looks bigger, but it just isn't. Seems to be a little bit of an illusion. But come over to the GWM with me because there are 2 very cool things I want to show you. First off, you can open the tailgate and then just let go. How cool is that? There's 2 gas struts over there holding it up. I don't think I've seen that before on a bakkie. And then I definitely haven't seen this before, at least in South Africa. Look at that. Now that is some Chinese convenience. Yeah, well done, GWM. And if you close the tailgate and leave that out, then it's a racing spoiler. Extra downforce. See? That'll help around corners, definitely. So I suppose the big question that I need to answer for you today is, should you take your R500,000 and buy yourself a brand new, super luxurious Chinese bakkie, or should you take your R500,000 and put it into a much lower spec Ford Ranger? Established brand versus newcomer. And that is a particularly difficult question to answer. I'm so torn. I know it's my job to tell you what to do with your money, but I'm so torn. I really like the Ranger, but it's hard to ignore how bang for your buck, value for money this GWM feels.
And maybe the fact that I'm struggling to find an answer is the answer. The reality is that this P Series is the most luxurious, most technically advanced bakkie we've ever tested. It's essentially a premium SUV that happens to have a load bed. This P Series represents a new era for this Chinese brand and a new era for the bakkie market in South Africa. The offering here, especially at this price point, simply can't be ignored. The P Series is now a real contender in the leisure bakkie segment. It is worth noting that the Ranger is at the end of its life cycle and a new generation is coming soon. While this particular Ranger and this particular P Series are not necessarily rivals, the fact that they are roughly the same price just goes to show how much value the P Series offers, especially in the interior. In terms of backup, the GWM comes standard with a 5-year 100,000 kilometer warranty and a 5-year 100,000 kilometer service plan, which shows that GWM has confidence in their product. We hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'd love to hear your opinion on the P Series in the comments below. Thanks for watching.
Cars.co.za has an enormous amount of cars to choose from. Right now, as I'm recording this, there are over 62,000 different vehicles on our site. So head over there. The address, unsurprisingly, is Cars.co.za, or you can use our app, the link to which is in the description below. Thanks very much for watching. Be safe. Bye.
Budget insurance. Affordable because you can't afford not to.